The military vessel. Starlight Ranger cruised through the darkness of space at a steady pace. The ship had been designed for human comfort, but after the alliance with the Zarine species, modifications had been hastily made. Space was at a premium, even more so after the recent battle damage to the starboard quarters. Kate Morgan, chief human engineer of the Starlight Ranger, stood with her bags in hand, staring at the small room she was expected to share. Her new roommate was already there arranging strange-looking devices on the single desk. The alien turned all four of her violet eyes toward Kate. Her skin was a pale blue with faint patterns like electricity moving beneath the surface. She stood nearly 7 feet tall with slender limbs and moved with unsettling grace. "We must share quarters, human engineer Kate Morgan. I am Nerali, chief engineer of propulsion systems." The Zarine spoke with a melodic voice that seemed to come from somewhere other than her lipless mouth. Kate dropped her bag on the floor, looking at the single bed with dismay. "They expect us to share that too?" she asked, unable to keep the annoyance from her voice. Nerali tilted her head. The Zarine did not use beds as humans did, but the ship administrators had not considered this when reassigning quarter sleep arrangements are not optimal. Nerali agreed. Her long fingers tapped a rhythm against her thigh. A gesture Kate would later learn indicated mild frustration. Kate sighed heavily, running her hand through her short, brown hair. Things had been tense enough between the human and Zarine crew members without forcing them into cramped living situations. The Zarine had only joined the Alliance 3 years ago, after their home system was attacked by the Mrag, a species that consumed planets for resources humans had helped defend the Zarine homeworld. And in gratitude, the technologically advanced aliens had shared their propulsion technology. It should have been a perfect partnership, but cultural differences created constant friction. "I work Alpha shift," Kate said. "I guess you work?" Beta. Nerali blinked her 4 eyes in sequence. "I am assigned to Beta shift." "Yes, we will not disturb each other's rest cycles, small mercies," Kate thought. She began unpacking, placing her few personal items on the small shelf next to the bed. A photo of her parents, a small plant from Earth, and a worn paper book, something the Zarine found puzzling. The next day, Kate reported to the engineering deck where her team of 5 human engineers awaited orders. "Chief, we heard you got stuck with one of them." Kyle said, his voice low. "Is it true they sleep hanging upside down?" Kate gave him a stern look. "Cut the talk, Lieutenant. The Zarine are our allies, and their technical knowledge is keeping this ship running." She tapped her tablet, showing the day's assignments. "We have work to do." The engineering deck spanned 3 levels, with the main propulsion systems taking up the lowest deck. Humans handled electrical systems and life support, while the Zarine managed propulsion and navigation. The 2 teams rarely interacted, each keeping to their assigned areas. Kate spent her shift troubleshooting a problem with the water recycling system on Deck 4. When she finished, it was well into Beta shift. She headed back to her quarters, hoping Nerali would be on duty. She wasn't. The alien engineer sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by holographic displays showing engine schematics. "I thought you would be working," Kate said, pausing at the door. "Zarine require less rest than humans." Nerali explained, not looking up from her work. "I completed my shift duties." Early Kate stood awkwardly for a moment, then moved to her side of the room. She was too tired to care about the alien presence. She changed quickly and collapsed onto the bed, closing her eyes. Kate opened her eyes hours later to find Nerali hanging upside down from the ceiling panels, her long limbs folded in ways that made Kate wince. The alien slept suspended rather than lying flat. It was both fascinating and slightly disturbing. The days fell into a routine, Kate and Nerali passing each other as their shifts changed occasionally, exchanging technical information but mostly avoiding conversation. The arrangement was uncomfortable, but manageable. 1 week turned into 2. Kate learned to ignore the strange smells of Zarine food, and Nerali never commented on Kate's habit of talking to herself while working on problems. They existed in parallel, careful not to intrude on each other's space. Then the ship entered the Carina Nebula. The cosmic radiation interfered with communications and sensors. Captain Olivia Ward called both engineering teams to the bridge. "We need to boost our sensor capabilities, or we'll be flying blind." Ward said, her face grim. We have to transit the nebula. It's the only way to reach the Centauri outpost in time. The human and Zareen teams stood on opposite sides of the bridge, both waiting for instructions. Kate stepped forward. This radiation is unique. I think we could modify our sensor array to filter out the interference. Nirali spoke next. Such modifications would require Zareen calculation matrices. Human systems are not precise enough for these conditions. Kate felt her temper flare. But before she could respond, Captain Ward raised her hand. Then work together, she ordered. This is not a competition. We need solutions, not arguments. You have 12 hours. Back in engineering, the teams reluctantly merged Kate and Nirali, leading the effort. The human engineers were skeptical of Zareen methods, while the aliens seemed frustrated by what they perceived as human inefficiency. Kate watched Nirali perform calculations at impossible speeds, her four hands manipulating holographic controls. Why don't you use automation for these calculations? Kate asked after an hour of tense silence. Nirali paused. The translation matrix processes the language incorrectly. Direct thought is more efficient. Kate moved closer, studying the equations flowing across the screen. They were beautiful in their complexity. Maybe we can split the work, she suggested. Your team handles the calculation matrices while mine reconfigures the physical array. Nirali considered this, her head tilting in that now familiar gesture. That is acceptable, Kate Morgan. They worked through the night, humans and Zareen side by side for the first time. The initial awkwardness gradually gave way to focused cooperation. As Kate learned more about Zareen methods, she began to appreciate their elegant solutions. When Kate struggled with a particularly complex equation, Nirali noticed, "May I assist?" She asked, her voice softer than usual. "Please," Kate said, surprised by the offer. Nirali moved beside her, their shoulders almost touching as the alien explained the mathematical concept. Kate had never been this close to a Zareen before. She noticed the faint scent like ozone and seawater, not unpleasant, just different. By morning they had a solution. The modified sensor array would cut through the nebula's interference, giving the ship safe passage. Captain Ward was impressed by their joint effort. "Good work, both of you," she said. "Now get some rest. You look exhausted." Kate and Nirali returned to their shared quarters, both too tired to maintain their usual distance. "That went well," Kate said as she sat heavily on the bed. Nirali nodded. "Your team works efficiently, despite your technological limitations." Kate laughed at what was clearly meant as a compliment. "And your people calculate faster than our best computers. We make a good team when we're not avoiding each other." Nirali made a sound like wind chimes. Perhaps there is truth in that observation. Kate Morgan. As Kate drifted to sleep, she realized it was the first time she had thought of Nirali as a person rather than just the alien. The Vex observation chamber felt cold and sterile. Kate and Nirali worked at the replicated engineering console, aware of the eyeless being watching their every move. The fate of the Starlight Ranger and its crew depended on their performance. Nirali leaned close to Kate, whispering, "These beings destroyed hundreds of Zareen worlds in ancient times. Our legends call them the Collectors. They preserve what they find valuable and eliminate what they do not." Kate felt a chill run down her spine. "What would make them consider the Alliance valuable? We need to show them something impressive," she said. "Something they haven't seen before." Nirali considered this. The Vex technology appears to be based on perfect mathematical precision. Her four eyes blinked. Rapidly in sequence. They value order and efficiency, but humans value innovation. Kate said, suddenly inspired. "We bring chaos and creativity to the equation. The Alliance works because we balance each other." She looked at the shield diagnostic program, running on their console. "What if we show them our hybrid shield design?" The Zareen engineer understood immediately. They had been working on a new type of shield that incorporated human adaptive algorithms with Zareen precise energy matrices. The result was a shield that could learn from attacks, growing stronger rather than weaker with each hit. They began programming furiously side by side, Kate writing adaptive code, while Nirali calculated the energy distributions. The Vex being moved closer, its geometric form shifting and realigning as it observed. "Your cooperative efficiency is noted." The artificial voice stated, "Biological incompatibility does not impede function." Kate glanced at Nirali. The Czarine gave her equivalent of a smile. "We work well together, Kate Morgan." After an hour of intense work, they had a simulation ready. Kate took a deep breath and activated the program. The holographic display showed a ship much like the Starlight Ranger surrounded by a blue energy field. "Now for the test," Kate said. She programmed a series of attacks against the shield. Each hit made the shield briefly weaken, then strengthen, becoming more resistant to that specific type of attack. The Vex being moved closer, its form shifting more rapidly. Interest detected, it stated, "Show practical application." Nirali stepped forward. "This shield design learns from experience," she explained. "Like living beings, it adapts and improves with each challenge. This is what makes the Alliance strong. The precision of Czarine technology combined with the adaptability of humans." Kate nodded. "We are greater together than separate. Each species contributes unique strengths. The Vex seem to consider this its form, pulsating with internal light. Adaptation is inefficient, yet results exceed prediction models." The being made a gesture, and the wall behind them displayed what appeared to be the Starlight Ranger held in some kind of energy field. "Your vessel remains intact. Crew functions, normal." Relief washed over Kate. They were still alive. The being continued. "We have observed other species combinations. None demonstrate effective integration. The human-Czarine bond requires further study." Kate felt uneasy. Further study sounded ominous. What exactly did that mean before? She could ask another Vex being appeared, this one larger and more complex in structure. It communicated with the first in a series of electronic pulses and light patterns. Then both turned toward the engineers. "You will demonstrate practical application of cooperation," the larger being announced. "We require proof of combined value." Nirali tensed beside Kate. "What proof do you require?" The smaller Vex gestured and the chamber transformed. Around them appeared what looked like engine components, but unlike any design Kate had seen before. Some parts glowed with energy, while others seemed almost organic. "Repair this collection drive," the larger being ordered. "It was damaged in Mirag territory. Your combined skills will determine if human-Czarine symbiosis has value." Kate examined the alien technology. It was incredibly advanced with systems she could barely comprehend. Nirali moved around the device, her four hands touching components with careful precision. "This appears to be a propulsion system," she said. "But the design principles are unlike anything in Czarine records." Kate nodded. "Some components resemble human ion drives, but the scale is wrong, and these connections." She pointed to glowing filaments that ran throughout the device. "They almost look biological." The larger Vex being moved back. "You have 1 rotation to restore function. Failure will result in termination of observation." Both beings vanished, leaving Kate and Nirali alone with the alien engine. "1 rotation," Kate said. "That means 1 day in human terms." Nirali was already scanning the device with a tool from their replicated engineering bay. "The configuration is unlike anything I have studied," she admitted. "There are 23 distinct energy signatures interacting in ways I cannot predict." Kate felt a moment of panic followed by determination. If they failed, the Vex would likely destroy the Starlight Ranger and everyone aboard. But if they succeeded, they might convince these ancient collectors that the Alliance was worth preserving. "First, let's understand what we're looking at," she said. "Think of it as a puzzle. We break it down into smaller problems." Nirali nodded her head, tilting in that now familiar gesture of consideration. "A logical approach, Kate Morgan." They began methodically examining each component, Kate focusing on the mechanical aspects while Nirali studied the energy patterns. After several hours, they had identified what appeared to be the main power source, a crystalline structure that glowed with pale blue light. "The connections are damaged here," Kate said, pointing to scorched filaments leading from the crystal. "And this regulator module is completely burnt out." Nirali made the wind chime sound that Kate now recognized as agreement. "The damage appears consistent with exposure to Mirag energy weapons." Working together, they mapped the entire system, Kate drawing diagrams while Nirali calculated energy requirements. The work was painstaking, but their complementary skills made progress. Steady hours passed without rest. Kate felt fatigue setting in, but pushed through. Her hands were steady as she replaced damaged components with materials from their engineering bay. While the technology was alien, the principles of power distribution and mechanical function had certain universal constants. Nirali worked with incredible precision, her four hands moving in perfect coordination as she recalibrated energy pathways. She could sense patterns in the flow of power that human instruments couldn't detect. Wait, Kate said, suddenly noticing something strange in her diagram. These pathways don't make sense. They overlap in ways that should cause catastrophic failure unless... She looked up at Nirali, her eyes wide. The system exists in multiple dimensions. The Zareen engineer blinked, all four eyes simultaneously. That would explain the readings. My instruments detect energy signatures that appear and disappear. Zareen mathematics includes multi-dimensional calculation, but practical application has been theoretical. Only Kate felt a surge of excitement. This is their advantage. They can move through dimensions, manipulating energy and matter across planes of existence. Nirali carefully adjusted her scanner. I can modify this to detect dimensional shifts, but I cannot calculate the patterns quickly enough. Kate thought for a moment. What if we combine our approaches? You detect the dimensional patterns, and I create an adaptive algorithm to predict them. Like our shield design, but for dimensional shifts. The Zareen made that smile gesture. Again, we find strength in our differences. They worked frantically as time passed, repairing physical components while developing a system to manage the multidimensional energy flows. Their replicated engineering bay had limits, but Kate improvised, using materials in creative ways that sometimes puzzled Nirali. Human creativity is chaotic but effective. The alien observed as Kate rewired a power regulator in a way no Zareen engineer would consider. The results defy prediction. Kate grinned. That's our specialty, doing the unexpected. As they neared completion, Kate connected her adaptive algorithm to Nirali's multidimensional scanner. The crystal at the engine's core began to glow, brighter pulses of energy moving through the repaired filaments. It's working, Kate said, excitement in her voice, but then alarms began to sound. Energy levels were rising too quickly, threatening to overload their repairs. Nirali moved with incredible speed, her four hands adjusting controls. The dimensional variance is increasing. I cannot stabilize the pattern. Kate watched in horror as the crystal pulsed with increasing brightness. They were losing control. The engine would explode, taking them and possibly the Starlight Ranger with it. Then she had an idea. What if we don't try to control it, she said quickly. What if we let it adapt on its own? Her fingers flew across the console, modifying her algorithm. Instead of imposing order, she programmed the system to learn from the dimensional shifts, adjusting automatically like a living thing. Nirali understood immediately, adding her own modifications to the energy distribution system. Together, they created a self-regulating system that could respond to the chaotic dimensional energies. The crystal pulsed one final time, then settled into a steady glow. Energy flowed smoothly through the repaired components. The engine hummed with power. Kate looked at Nirali, both of them exhausted but triumphant. We did it. The chamber filled with light as the Vex beings reappeared. Their geometric forms shifted rapidly, and what Kate hoped was approval, function restored, the larger being announced. Analysis exceeds prediction models. The human provided chaos variables, the Zareen provided precision constants, combined results superior to individual contribution. Kate held her breath, waiting for their verdict. The encounter with the Vex changed everything on board the Starlight Ranger. Captain Ward called an immediate meeting of senior staff. Kate and Nirali recounted their experience in detail, explaining how they had repaired the alien engine and convinced the ancient collectors that the Alliance was worth preserving. This is unprecedented, Ward said. When the meeting concluded, you two have made first contact with a species we thought was mythological and survived to tell about it. Admiral Harris, at Fleet Command, was equally impressed. His holographic image flickered in the communication array as he addressed the entire crew. The information you've provided about Vex technology could advance our understanding by decades, he said. Especially the multi-dimensional aspects. The Admiral's expression grew serious. But this also confirms our worst fears. The Mrag are expanding their territory. That's why the Vex vessel was damaged. Kate and Nerali exchanged glances. The Mrag were the common enemy that had brought humans and Zareen together in the first place. A species that consumed entire worlds for resources, leaving nothing but ash and debris. Before we reach the Centauri outpost, we need to stop at Way Station 7, Harris continued. The station has reported unusual energy readings. We've diverted additional ships to the sector. But you're closest, I'm authorizing a joint engineering mission. Kate found herself appointed mission leader with Nerali as her second-in-command. They would take a team to investigate the energy anomalies at Way Station 7, a remote Alliance outpost that served as a listening post near Mrag territory. That evening, Kate and Nerali prepared in their shared quarters, packing equipment for the mission. The Admiral seems to think we're experts on dimensional technology, now Kate said with a wry smile, stuffing tools into her pack. Nerali made her wind chime laugh. Our experience with the Vex was educational but limited. We repaired their technology, but much of its function remains mysterious. Kate sat on her mattress studying the mission briefing. Something about these energy readings bothers me. She passed her tablet to Nerali. The pattern looks familiar, doesn't it? The Zareen examined the data, her four eyes narrowing. There is a similarity to the dimensional fluctuations we observed in the Vex engine, but more erratic, less controlled. Could the Mrag be experimenting with Vex technology? Kate wondered. It would explain their recent expansion. Nerali agreed. If they have acquired dimensional capabilities, the thought was disturbing. The Mrag were already devastating in conventional space. The idea of them moving between dimensions, spreading their destruction across multiple planes of existence, was terrifying. The Starlight Ranger arrived at Way Station 7 the following day. The station was a modest installation built into a large asteroid. Its primary purpose was to monitor Mrag communications and movements through this sector of space. Kate and Nerali led a team of 4 additional engineers, 2 human and 2 Zareen. They boarded the station and were met by its commander, Laura Bennett, a veteran officer with a reputation for thoroughness. The anomalies began 3 weeks ago, Bennett explained, as she led them through the station. They follow no pattern we can discern, sometimes lasting seconds, sometimes hours. She stopped at a sealed door. Ahead is the primary sensor array where the readings are strongest. Inside the chamber, Kate saw standard Alliance sensor equipment arranged around a central column. The air felt strange, with a faint electrical charge that made the hair on her arms stand up. Nerali moved to a console, immediately beginning scans. Her 4 hands moved across the controls. With practiced efficiency, the dimensional variance is subtle but present, she reported. Similar to Vex signatures but distorted. Kate instructed the team to set up additional monitoring equipment. While the humans installed physical sensors, the Zareen engineers calibrated energy detectors sensitive to dimensional fluctuations. They worked seamlessly together. The previous divisions between species forgotten as Kate adjusted a quantum field monitor. She felt a strange vibration through the deck plates. She looked up to see Nerali staring at her instruments with all 4 eyes. Wide energy spike approaching, the Zareen called out. All personnel evacuate. Commander Bennett hit the alarm. But before anyone could reach the door, the air in the center of the room seemed to tear open. A swirling vortex of light appeared, growing rapidly. Winds howled, pulling equipment toward the anomaly. Everyone grab onto something, Kate shouted, securing herself to a support beam. The Zareen engineers, with their greater strength, helped anchor the humans as the vortex expanded. Through the tear, Kate caught glimpses of another place. A landscape of twisted metal and strange crystalline formations bathed in purple light. She recognized elements of Vex technology, integrated with unfamiliar structures. Something was coming through. A form emerged from the vortex, its body covered in segmented armor. Dark purple energy crackled around it as it surveyed the room with multiple glowing eyes. Kate had never seen a Mrag in person, but she knew immediately what it was. The species that had destroyed countless worlds. More figures followed the first, each heavily armored and carrying weapons unlike any Kate had seen. The MRAG had found a way to create dimensional portals using stolen Vex technology defensive positions, Bennett shouted, drawing her sidearm. The station's security system activated, deploying weapon turrets from the ceiling. The MRAG raised their weapons, firing streams of dark energy that cut through the station's defenses with terrifying ease. One of the Zareen engineers fell screaming as the energy touched his skin. Kate pulled Nerali behind a collapsed console. "We need to close that portal." The Zareen engineer was already scanning the vortex. "The dimensional tear requires constant energy to remain stable. If we can disrupt the power source." Kate understood immediately. The quantum field monitor she had been setting up could be repurposed to generate an interference pattern, but she'd need time to reconfigure it. Commander Bennett and the security team were engaging the MRAG, buying precious seconds with coordinated fire. The alien invaders advanced methodically, their weapons devastating, but their movements slow in the stations. "Gravity Nerali, I need your calculations," Kate said quickly. "If we inverse the quantum field and pulse it at the right frequency, we might destabilize the portal." The Zareen nodded, working rapidly on her device. "I can determine the resonance frequency, but the monitor lacks sufficient power." Kate looked around desperately. Then she saw it. One of the fallen MRAG invaders. Its weapons still pulsed with dark energy. "Cover me," she said to Nerali. The Zareen understood immediately, providing covering fire with a station weapon as Kate darted from cover. The MRAG weapon was heavier than she expected and burned her hands with residual energy. She dragged it back to their position as weapons fire streaked overhead. Together they worked to connect the alien power source to the quantum monitor. Kate's hands moved with desperate speed, while Nerali calculated the precise frequency needed to disrupt the portal. More MRAG were emerging, 8, 10, 12 of the armored figures now in the chamber. Commander Bennett was down, clutching a wounded leg, while the remaining security officers retreated toward the door. "Almost there." Kate muttered, her fingers dancing across the monitor's controls. Nerali fed her calculations directly to the device, their movements synchronized. By weeks of working together, the modified monitor hummed to life, drawing power from the MRAG weapon. The energy built rapidly, threatening to overload their improvised device. "Now," Kate shouted, activating the quantum pulse. A wave of invisible energy shot toward the vortex, where it collided with the dimensional tear. The portal flickered, distorting as the quantum interference disrupted its stability. The MRAG turned their weapons toward Kate and Nerali, recognizing the threat, but it was too late. The vortex collapsed with a thunderous implosion. The sudden pressure change knocked everyone to the floor, and the MRAG, still connected to the portal, were dragged back through, vanishing in flashes of purple light. Those remaining were disoriented, but still dangerous. Their armor protected them from standard weapons fire as they regrouped, advancing on the engineers. "Something is wrong," Nerali said urgently. "The dimensional collapse is continuing." Kate looked at her readings in horror. The tear wasn't just closing, it was inverting, creating a quantum singularity that would consume the entire station. "We need to get everyone out of here," Kate yelled to Bennett. The commander nodded, ordering an immediate evacuation as crew members rushed toward the exits. The MRAG continued their attack. The remaining Zareen engineer fell, protecting his human colleagues. Nerali stood tall, her 4 eyes blazing with determination. "Go, Kate Morgan. I will hold them back." Kate grabbed her arm. "No, we're leaving together. We need your calculations to contain this." The quantum singularity was growing, energy crackling around it as it pulled equipment into its depths. The remaining MRAG seemed unconcerned by the danger, continuing their advance. Kate and Nerali retreated, step by step, toward the exit. The humans supporting Commander Bennett, while the Zareen covered them with captured MRAG weapons. They reached the corridor, sealing the chamber door behind them, but it wouldn't hold for long. "We need to get to the shuttle," Kate said. "But the singularity, if it continues to grow, it will consume the station and possibly the Starlight Ranger." Nerali confirmed. "We must contain it." Kate had an idea. "Remember our shield design, the one that adapts and learns. What if we reverse it? Create a containment field that tightens as the singularity grows." The Starlight Ranger raced toward Alliance headquarters. Kate Nerali and the surviving crew from Waystation 7 had been debriefed repeatedly. Captain Ward insisted on hearing every detail of the Mirag incursion fleet-wide alert has been issued. Ward informed them during the final briefing. If the Mirag have mastered dimensional technology nowhere in Alliance space, is safe. Kate and Nerali worked day and night to develop countermeasures. Their experience with both Vex technology and the quantum singularity gave them unique insights. No longer separated by species, their engineering teams functioned as a single unit fleet admiral. Harris called an emergency conference with all available Alliance ships. The holographic communication system showed dozens of captains and commanders, their faces grim. The situation is worse than we feared, Harris said, his image flickering slightly. 3 more outposts have reported dimensional anomalies. We believe the Mirag are testing the boundaries, probing for weaknesses. Kate and Nerali presented their findings. They had developed a detection system that could provide early warning of dimensional incursions. The design combined Zareen precision sensors with human adaptive algorithms. But detection isn't enough, Kate said. We need a defense against these portals. A way to prevent them from opening in the first place. Nerali stepped forward. We propose creating dimensional anchors. She explained devices that stabilize local space, preventing the formation of portals. Our prototype shows promising results in simulations. The Admiral nodded. The Centauri outpost will be your testing ground. Its strategic importance makes it a likely Mirag target, and the scientists there can assist with production if the prototype works. And the briefing ended with new orders. The Starlight Ranger would proceed immediately to the Centauri outpost, carrying Kate and Nerali's prototype. It was a desperate gamble, but the Alliance had few options. That evening, Kate found Nerali in their shared quarters, meditating in her unusual upside-down position. The Zareen opened her 4 eyes as Kate entered. I have been considering our dimensional anchor design, Nerali said without preamble. The power requirements are substantial. Most Alliance facilities cannot generate sufficient energy. Kate nodded, sinking onto her mattress. I've been thinking the same thing. We need something more efficient. She pulled out her tablet, showing Nerali a new design. I wondered if we could use the Imrag weapon we recovered. The energy signature is compatible with our anchor. The Zareen studied the design, her head tilting thoughtfully. Dangerous, but potentially effective. The weapon draws power from dimensional bleeding using the very energy it seeks to control. Together they modified their prototype, incorporating components from the captured Mirag technology. The work was delicate and potentially hazardous, but their complementary skills made the impossible achievable. When they finally collapsed from exhaustion, Kate found herself talking to Nerali about Earth. Her parents' farm in the Midwestern United States, the forests and lakes she missed, the simple pleasure of rain. Nerali shared stories of her homeworld, Zaria Prime, a desert planet where water was precious and life adapted to harsh conditions. The beautiful crystalline cities that captured and redirected the light of twin suns, the migration of air jellies during the 3rd moon cycle. Kate realized how much had changed. She no longer thought of Nerali as the alien, but as her friend. Perhaps her closest friend on the ship. The Starlight Ranger arrived at the Centauri outpost 2 days later. The station was larger than Waystation 7, a major research facility and strategic hub. Its location at the edge of Alliance space made it both valuable and vulnerable. Dr. Sophia Lin, head of research, greeted them as they docked. Her team had been briefed on the dimensional anchor prototype, and preparations were already underway for testing. The outpost has 7 research levels and 3 habitation rings, Lin explained as she led them through the sprawling facility. We've cleared level 4 for your tests. It's isolated enough that any accidents won't compromise. The entire station Kate and Nerali supervised as their equipment was transferred from the Starlight Ranger. The prototype anchor was housed in a reinforced container, its power source dormant until testing began. Captain Ward joined them in the test chamber along with Dr. Lin and her senior staff. The anchor sat on a platform in the center of the room, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Is it safe? Lin asked, eyeing the device with professional curiosity. Kate exchanged glances with Nerali. Nothing about this technology is entirely safe, she admitted. but we've taken every precaution. The anchor creates a field that stabilizes dimensional boundaries, preventing tears, and if it fails, Ward asked, then we evacuate. Nirali said simply. Kate initiated the startup sequence. The anchor hummed to life, its core glowing with the same purple energy as the MRAG weapons, but contained within layers of human and Zarine technology. The monitoring equipment showed the dimensional field expanding outward, filling the test chamber. Readings are stable, Kate announced. Everything operating within parameters. Nirali monitored the energy flow. The field is extending beyond the test chamber, she reported, covering approximately 20% of the station, and expanding. Dr. Lin looked impressed. The power efficiency is remarkable. Your integration of technologies is unlike anything we've seen. The test continued for hours, the anchor performing beyond expectations, its field eventually encompassed the entire outpost, creating a bubble of stabilized space that would prevent any MRAG portal from forming within the protected area. As they concluded the test, Captain Ward received an urgent communication from the Starlight Ranger MRAG vessels detected. Approaching from Sector 7, the tactical officer reported, 3 ships on intercept course. Everyone tensed. They had expected an attack, but not so soon. The outpost went to alert status shields. Raised defenses activated. Kate and Nirali rushed to complete the anchor's installation. The prototype was working but needed to be integrated with the station's power grid to maintain long-term stability. The first impacts shook the outpost as MRAG weapons fire tested its defenses. The shields held, but the energy drain was substantial. Then came the report they had been dreading: dimensional fluctuations detected in habitation ring. 3 security reported MRAG forces have bypassed our outer defenses. The anchor isn't fully online, Kate realized. The field hasn't reached the outer rings yet. Nirali was already moving. We must extend the field manually, she said. Her 4 eyes showed determination, and something Kate hadn't seen before. Anger, Kate understood. The Zarine had lost worlds to the MRAG. Their hatred of the Planet Eaters ran deep. They grabbed portable equipment and headed toward Habitation Ring 3. Captain Ward sent security teams with them, but the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The MRAG had opened multiple portals, bringing warriors directly into the outpost. The sounds of battle echoed through corridors. Energy weapons discharged, screams and orders shouted. Alliance security forces fought valiantly, but the MRAG advanced methodically, their armored forms nearly unstoppable. Kate and Nirali reached a junction box that connected to the main power grid. This would allow them to extend the anchor's field to the affected areas. Kate began rewiring while Nirali calibrated the dimensional frequencies. A security officer fell beside them, hit by MRAG weapons fire. The aliens were close turning the corner just as Kate made the final connection. The portable anchor extension activated, sending a pulse of energy through the grid. The approaching MRAG staggered as the dimensional field washed over them. Their portals flickered and collapsed, cutting off reinforcements. But these invaders were already inside. They raised their weapons, firing at the engineers. Nirali pushed Kate aside, taking a glancing hit to her shoulder. Blood seeped from the wound, but the Zarine remained standing. She returned fire with a captured MRAG weapon. Kate finished the calibration. The field solidified, expanding through the habitation ring. The MRAG weapons began to malfunction, their dimensional technology disrupted by the Anchor Alliance security. Pressed the advantage, driving the invaders back. Kate helped Nirali to her feet, supporting the wounded Zarine as they moved to the next junction box. They needed to expand the field further, covering every section of the outpost. The pattern repeated. Junction by junction, they extended the anchors. Protection security teams followed in their wake, eliminating MRAG, cut off from their dimensional technology and reinforcements. Nirali's wound slowed them down. But the Zarine refused to seek medical attention until the job was done. Her determination impressed even the veteran security officers. Finally, they reached the last junction. The entire outpost would be covered once this section was activated, but as they approached, MRAG forces converged on their position. The aliens had realized what they were doing. Kate, we are surrounded, Nirali said, her voice strained from pain and exhaustion. The security team cannot reach us. Kate looked at the junction box. It was 20 meters away across open space with Mrag warriors between them and their goal. Then she looked at Nerali. The Zarine's blue skin was pale from blood loss, but her 4 eyes remained focused. "I have an idea," Kate said. She pulled components from her kit, reconfiguring their portable equipment. "If we can't get to the junction, we bring the junction to us." She created a directional pulse transmitter that could connect wirelessly to the junction, just strong enough to activate the final section, but someone would have to get close enough to aim it precisely. "I will do it," Nerali said, understanding immediately. Kate shook her head. "You're wounded, I should." The Starlight Ranger continued its journey through the Carina Nebula. Kate and Nerali found themselves working together more often. Their successful sensor modifications had caught the attention of Fleet Command, who requested they combine their expertise on other projects. Kate entered their shared quarters after a long shift to find Nerali attempting to adjust her ceiling hooks, which had been damaged during a gravity fluctuation. "Wait, I have an idea," Kate said. She began pushing the bed against the wall, then dragged the mattress to the floor. The Zarine watched with curiosity as Kate arranged blankets on the floor beside the mattress. "You can hang your hooks here." She pointed to the now exposed wall area. "And I can sleep here. We both get our space." Nerali considered the arrangement. Her mouth formed what Kate had come to recognize as the Zarine equivalent of a smile. "Acceptable solution." Kate Morgan. The alien began installing her hooks in the new location. The next day, they were called to the captain's ready room. Captain Ward sat behind her desk reviewing reports on her tablet. She looked up when they entered. "The sensor array modifications you two designed have been shared with other Alliance vessels," she said admiringly. "Fleet Command is impressed. They want more collaborative projects from our engineering teams." Kate and Nerali exchanged glances. The captain's expression turned serious. "We are approaching the edge of the nebula, where the Mrag were last seen." She tapped, her screen bringing up a star chart. 3 Alliance ships have gone missing in this sector in the past month. We need to be prepared. Ward assigned them to develop enhanced shield technology, combining human adaptability with Zarine precision. They would lead a joint team working Alpha shift together. Working directly with Nerali proved educational for Kate. The Zarine approach to engineering was fundamentally different, focusing on energy patterns rather than physical components. Their mathematics seemed almost mystical sometimes, but the results were undeniable. One day, as they modified shield emitters, Nerali asked Kate about Earth. "Your planet has water covering most of its surface." She said, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "That is unusual and inefficient." Kate smiled. "Most Zarine worlds are desert, aren't they?" Nerali made that wind chime sound. "Yes. Our bodies evolved for conservation of moisture. Your species requires constant hydration." "It seems impractical." Kate laughed. "You think humans are impractical. You should see our entertainment." 4 eyes blinked in confusion. Entertainment. Later that evening, Kate showed Nerali human music and videos. The alien was particularly fascinated by. "Dance, your bodies move in ways that serve no practical purpose," Nerali observed. "Yet there is a mathematical precision to the patterns." Kate demonstrated a simple waltz, counting out the rhythm, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Her movements felt awkward under Nerali's curious gaze. Without warning, the alien stood, joining Kate in the small open space of their quarters. Nerali mimicked the steps with perfect precision. Though her height and additional joints made the dance look strange, Kate burst into surprised laughter. "You learn quick, it is simple mathematics," Nerali replied, though Kate thought she detected a note of pride in the alien's voice. As days passed, the engineering teams began to integrate more fully. Kyle, who had been so dismissive of the Zarine, now worked closely with Lyrath, a junior Zarine engineer. They had developed a crude but effective sign language to communicate complex ideas quickly. The ship neared the edge of the nebula, where space cleared enough for long-range sensors to function properly. Kate and Nerali were on the bridge. When the alert sounded, Contact Captain Ward announced unidentified vessel at extreme range, bearing 317 Mark II. The main view screen showed a distant shape moving against the backdrop of stars. Its design was unlike anything in the Alliance. Database not Mirag, Lieutenant Amara said from the tactical station. Configuration unknown. Captain Ward ordered yellow alert shields raised. The Starlight Ranger approached cautiously. Kate felt a strange tension in the air. The bridge crew, both human, and Zareen moved with practiced efficiency, but there was fear beneath their professionalism. The Mirag had destroyed entire worlds. Kate had seen the recordings of Zareen colonies reduced to ashes. They drew closer. Details of the alien vessel became clear. It was massive, at least twice the size of the Starlight Ranger, with an unusual spiral configuration that seemed to pulse with internal light. No response to hails, Captain Ward said. Their weapons are powered but not targeting us yet. Nirali stepped forward, studying the sensor readings. Her 4 hands moved rapidly across the console. Captain. Those energy signatures, she said, her voice urgent. They match Zareen historical records. These are the Vex. Ward looked confused. The Vex, I thought. They were extinct. They vanished 5,000 cycles ago. Nirali explained they were ancient when my species first achieved spaceflight. Their technology was beyond understanding. They were believed destroyed by the Mirag. The Vex ship suddenly accelerated, moving toward them at impossible speed. Evasive maneuvers, Ward ordered. Before the helmsman could respond, a beam of pale blue energy struck the Starlight Ranger. The ship shuddered, but the shields held. Engineering status, Ward demanded. Kate checked her. Console shields at 70%, but holding. That was just a probe, not a weapon. They were scanning us. The communication system activated on its own. A harsh electronic voice filled the bridge, speaking in multiple languages simultaneously. Prey. Species identified Zareen and human joint configuration. Unusual threat assessment. Moderate approach for inspection. Captain Ward looked to Nirali. Are they hostile? The Zareen engineer seemed unsettled. I do not know. The historical records are incomplete. The Vex were collectors of technology and knowledge. They preserved what they found valuable and discarded. The rest discarded, Ward asked, her voice sharp. Nirali met her gaze. Destroyed. Captain Kate moved closer to Nirali, seeing the alien's distress. The Vex ship continued its approach, now close enough to dominate the view screen. Its surface was covered in what appeared to be smaller vessels attached like remoras to a shark. We need options, Ward said to the room, looking from face to face. What do they want? Knowledge, Kate said suddenly. They want to know if we're worth preserving. What if we show them what the Alliance has accomplished? What humans and Zareen can do together? The Vex ship halted its approach. Then, without warning, the bridge, illuminated with a grid of light scanning each crew member. The sensation was uncomfortable, like static electricity on the skin. Scanning complete. Evaluation proceeding. The electronic voice announced. Captain Ward stood tall, facing the view screen. We are the Alliance vessel Starlight Ranger. We seek peaceful contact. The response was immediate. We do not communicate with prey species. Zareen biological architecture has value. Human adaptability has potential. Combined structure requires study. Blinding flash filled the bridge. When Kate's vision cleared, she found herself and Nirali standing in a vast chamber. The walls seemed alive with flowing patterns of light. The floor beneath them was transparent, revealing stars. The Vex had transported them aboard their vessel. Kate fought down panic. Where are the others? She asked, looking around. What happened to our crew? Nirali touched her arm gently, her long fingers cool against Kate's skin. They selected us as representatives, the engineer samples as. If confirming her words, a figure appeared before them. It was vaguely humanoid, but clearly artificial. Its body seemed composed of interlocking geometric shapes, constantly shifting and realigning. You will demonstrate Alliance technology, the being stated. We will evaluate your worth. Kate stepped forward, her heart racing but voice steady. We need our equipment. Our tools. The being made a gesture, and a section of the wall transformed into what appeared to be a replica of the Starlight Rangers' engineering bay. Complete with all their tools and systems, Kate looked at Nirali. The alien engineer nodded slightly. They would play along for now while looking for a way to escape and save their crew. The Vex being watched them with eyeless sensors. Your species cooperate despite biological incompatibility. Demonstrate your methods. Kate and Nirali moved to the familiar workstations. They began a standard shield diagnostic routine, their movements synchronized after weeks of working together. This could be our only chance to show them we're worth more alive than dead, Kate whispered. Nirali nodded, her four eyes scanning the alien technology surrounding them. We must be impressive, Kate Morgan. Very impressive indeed.